You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. Be sure to smash that like button. One of the biggest questions that T-Bob and I fielded post-game on Whiskey and Wine, that we fielded yesterday on AFR, and really that every LSU fan has had is, where was Harold Perkins on Saturday? Brian Kelly gave the answer on Monday.
As you guys know, we moved him to Sam linebacker. Last week was not a position where, and you know the game was a spread game. You got two receivers that are out on the numbers. Harold would have had to be standing out on the numbers playing the game as the Sam. We nickeled out, so we were in a nickel situation. We would have had to change his position back to inside linebacker for that game. We weren't going to do that. This is a game that suits him really well. You'll see a lot of Harold Perkins this weekend.
Makes a lot of sense. That still did not sit well with a lot of LSU fans because the reaction we got time and time again was, well, why not put your best player on the field? All right, so let's ask a guy who would know certainly very well. Former LSU linebacker Darry Beckwith, who was an All-SEC linebacker, who was a Butkus finalist in 2008. The guy knows just a ton about playing linebacker, in particular in the SEC, and he joins us now. Darry, great to have you as always. How are you, Beast?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
I'm good. Okay, so you're watching the game on Saturday. You see no Harold Perkins. You're thinking what?
Honestly, my honest opinion, I thought he did something. I thought he got in trouble. I really did. Look, a guy like Harold Perkins, I know we talk about the scheme and the game plan did not fit him. But a lot of times as coordinators, whether it's offense or defense, we can out-scheme the scheme. They overthink it, over-analytical. When you have an athlete like Harold Perkins and the talent and the ability that he has, you have to find certain packages to put this guy on the field. I played with a guy in 2007 by the name of Chad Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Chad Jones was extremely talented. Every game that we went into, was Chad the best fit for the offense? Absolutely not. But one thing we did, we made sure that we had Chad on the field. Chad had his own blitz called the Chad Blitz. So,
I love it.
Something with like Harold Perkins, I understand the game plan. I understand the scheme and what you're trying to do. But someone who is that impactful, especially as a freshman, you have to find ways to get him on the field. They put DeMario Tolan in the game a lot as well. So you could have had him rush off the edge. You could have put him at the middle linebacker position, have him blitz up the middle. It's all sorts of ways that you could use Harold Perkins that game for him to make an impact.
All right, Darry, so you heard Brian Kelly say, by the way, there's like a giant chorus of amens coming from LSU fans with that answer. When you heard Brian Kelly's answer and said, all right, he moved to the will. Would he say the Sam or the will? To the Sam. Okay, so they moved him to the Sam linebacker. How difficult would it be if you're playing on the strong side to, in a week's time, because of that given defense, move back inside?
It's not that difficult. Someone like Harold Perkins, coming from high school to college, the transition to playing linebacker is extremely difficult if you're playing inside linebacker. And when I say that, when Harold Perkins was in high school, he was bigger and faster than everyone else. So as far as him, they could have said, look, just go get the quarterback. Just come off the edge and rush the quarterback. But now when you get to college, you're playing inside linebacker, you're asked to play off the ball. You're asked to read and diagnose, especially with these RPO offenses. And so it is difficult. Trust me, it is difficult for it to say, hey, play Sam strong side linebacker or play inside linebacker. It is a little bit different because now you're playing off the ball, you have to read and react. But someone like Harold Perkins, which I think they did a phenomenal job with him early in the games, is not asking him to do too much. I remember Matt House did speak about that. We're not going to ask him to do too much. We're going to say, Harold, this is your assignment on this play. You do this job. So, look, they have the players, and it's up to the coaches to have a scheme that best fits these athletes' skill set, and that's the bottom line.
Perkins, if I'm not mistaken, played just 8 snaps against Tennessee. If he were on the field, this is an impossible question to answer, but I'm going to ask you, how much of a difference would it have made?
I don't think it would have made that big of a difference. Obviously, I don't think one player makes a big difference. This whole game, I think, got out of hand at the beginning of the game when we received the ball. In my opinion, instead of deferring, and then we fumbled the ball on the opening kickoff, that was a momentum shifter. And I think from hindsight of 2020, when you're watching this as a fan, and say, oh my gosh, he fumbled the kickoff, but we can get back into it. you don't realize how much momentum, how much that changes the game as far as the players and your mindset and how you think. And so, would he did some things differently? Absolutely. Yeah, he would have, but as far as changing the game plan and the outcome of the game, I don't think so.
Okay. Darry Beckwith is with us, former All-SEC linebacker. Of course, Darry Beckwith Foundation, which we'll talk about here in just a quick second as well, Darry. You mentioned Matt House. I'm curious what your impressions have been of Matt House, who's a linebacker guy by trade. What your impressions have been of him so far through half of his first season?
So I tell you what, Matt, I don't know if you remember this. Was it 2 years ago?
Oh, I remember.
I came to your office and I beat on the table for Bo Pelini.
No, I remember.
I hope that clip is taken down. I really do. I hope you go and take that clip down because that was the worst take of my life. But no, honestly, I have been impressed with Matt House. Beginning with the Florida State game, I think in the second half they made some adjustments. And one thing I liked about them, every game they made adjustments and made sure that they got better every single game. Obviously, the switch from moving Jay Ward to the nickel position and Greg Brooks to the safety, I think was a big impact on their defense. So they have gotten better every game. I think that sometimes as coaches, and look, I'm not a coach, but I've been around a lot of coaches. I've seen where they can overthink things and they can be over-analytical on a lot of situations. And I think this against Tennessee, it has got to the point where I think he overthought it and was over-analytical. And Tennessee caused a lot of problems offense. They do things really unique. I mean, their wide receiver split outside of the numbers, which creates a lot of space and leaves the middle of the field wide open. So, yes, I think there were things that he could have done differently. But look, no, I think even if the defense did play incredible that game, Matt, our offense just can't score any touchdowns. And so if you can't score touchdowns, you're not going to hold an offense like that out the end zone for very long.
Hey, man, I picked Notre Dame to beat Alabama in the Natty in 2012, so we all swing and miss from time to time. You know what I mean? Hey, I got to ask a couple more. I want to ask you about Mike Jones and why it hasn't worked.
For Mike Jones, I want people to know this about Mike Jones. Mike Jones is an incredible person, has incredible character, and he is an incredible leader. But as far as the talent-wise to play the inside linebacker position, he doesn't have it. Not saying he cannot play on this level, but someone like Mike Jones, if you can remember against the Florida State game, I remember they blitzed him up the middle. And he chased the quarterback down and got like a either a sack or I think the quarterback got like a 1-yard gain. And from that point on, I'm like, wait a minute. Mike Jones, it's hard for him to play off the ball. It's hard for him to read and diagnose. How about we line Mike Jones up at the Sam linebacker position or line him up at the Jack linebacker position and give B.J. Ojulari a rest sometimes and let him rush off the edge? Because he can do that. He can bring high energy off the edge and rush the passer. But from a standard traditional linebacker to say, look, let's line up off the ball, let's read tackle, guard, and running back, and let's have great peripheral vision to see where we need to go. He doesn't have that. Again, not saying he can't play on this level, but I think a guy like this can benefit from just a slight position change, playing that Sam linebacker position or playing that Jack linebacker position where he can rush off the edge. Kind of like what Clayton Matthews did at USC.
You know what's so interesting, though, Darry? Like, Mike Jones left. He was that guy at Clemson, the outside guy. They called it the overhang linebacker. It's the position Isaiah Simmons played. And he left there because he wanted an opportunity to play Mike. And so he came here, and the last defensive coordinator didn't settle him in there. And now this defensive coordinator hasn't settled him in there at Mike either. This is 3 coaching staffs now who've told that guy, you're not a Mike linebacker. At what point as a player do you – and again, I'm with you. I think the world of Mike Jones. It's not a knock on him at all. And he's a very talented guy. At what point, though, do you look and say, okay, maybe this isn't my position?
I think a lot of times as athletes, we're extremely prideful. And when we set our mind out to do something, we're going to continue to do it until we accomplish it, no matter what happens. So I think in his mind frame, his mindset, he wanted to be an inside linebacker. And coming to a place like LSU, historically, they have had great inside linebackers. Brady James, Trell Falk, You got Kelvin Shepard and recently Devin White. So my cousin Kendall Beckwith. So you had a lot of great inside linebackers. So for him, in his mind, I know he's thinking, man, if I could come here and solidify myself as an all-time great inside linebacker at LSU, I could play a long time in the NFL. I get where he's coming from. But at some point, he has to realize, okay, what's my best fit and my best opportunity to help this football team win the game, win games. And I think he has to look himself in the mirror sooner than later and determine that, because he is losing snaps to Micah Baskerville, rightfully so.
How in the world did you leave off Ali Highsmith?
Because he didn't play Mike linebacker, he played Will.
Okay.
Aha.
I was about to say, man. I've heard you gush. I have heard you gush about Ali Highsmith. I'm like, how in the world did you leave off your guy?
I said Mike inside linebacker. See, Ali played Will. So Ali,
right.
Ali, if you listen to this, man, look, I'm not going to leave out the list. And please, LSU, when you mention number 7, mention Ali Highsmith.
So he was an inside backer, but he was just playing. He was just playing Will on the weak side.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. There we go.
Got it. Hey, man, I never played linebacker. This is why I love having you on, man, to teach me stuff I don't know. All right. Hey, one more thought from you on. I wanted to ask you about Micah Baskerville, because he's a guy now who for 3 straight years started the season outside looking in, and is basically emerged to be, one of your 2 best linebackers. Last year was alongside Damone Clark. This year he's probably your best linebacker. Why does it seem like it takes him a little while to get going?
I think someone like what Micah is, he has to have the trust from the coaching staff. And I'm speaking from a player's perspective. From a player, if you feel like you don't have the trust from the coaching staff, it's hard for you to go out there and really be fully confident in yourself. And I think at the beginning when Brian Kelly came in here, they had a few hiccups. Nothing major with Micah, not a bad kid, but I think Brian Kelly was changing the culture, and he had different things and rules that he wanted. And a lot of times, certain players from the old regime, that was still being carried over to Brian Kelly's regime. And so if you feel like as a player that they really don't trust me fully, then I can't be fully confident on the field. But now, as you can see, he's getting more playing time. He's getting more time on the field. He's feeling more confident. He's feeling like Brian Kelly and Matt House trust me with his defense. And you can see that. Look, he had 15 tackles against Tennessee. The guy played extremely hard. And I always was a fan of Micah Baskerville. I was always a fan of a guy like Damone Clark. I was beating on the table for Damone Clark that he's going to be a great inside linebacker. And a guy like Micah, what's going to happen, Matt, every single week, he's going to continue to get better. This is not the last that you've seen of Micah Baskerville. He has a nose for the football. He can read and diagnose, and he's a sure tackler. I have yet to see Micah Baskerville miss a tackle. Yeah. And so this is a guy who's going to play a long time in the NFL, has a bright future.
Dude, he has been so consistent every year at LSU. It's been incredible to watch his growth. Darry Beckwith, former Tiger linebacker, All-SEC, was a Butkus finalist back in 2008. Hey, before you go, I want to remind people about the Darry Beckwith Foundation, man. Follow all your social channels, and you're doing great work with that. DarryBeckwithFoundation.org. Give the people a little bit of a tidbit of what you got going on.
Yeah, so at Darry Beckwith Foundation, we help high school student athletes. We give them identity outside of sports. We do different enrichment programs as far as financial literacy, career development. They've been with a real estate developer. This month, they're going to learn about how to properly buy a home and credit checks and credit repair to get themselves ready to buy a home when it does come that time. We also feed a local sports team every month as part of our appreciation initiative. We're going to Gonzales Middle football team actually next Monday to feed them. And then this coming spring, we will start our financial literacy program where we're going to visit high school student athletes at local public schools in the area and teach them financial literacy. So it's a lot of things that we have going on to let kids know, look, if sports doesn't work out, it's going to be okay, and you can be just as successful without scoring touchdowns or making big sacks.
DarryBeckwithFoundation.org. Man, I'm proud to know you, man. I'm proud to call you a friend. I love what you're doing with the foundation. And if we can ever help, reach out, okay?
Sounds good, man. Appreciate you for having me.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.